But do you smell the bullshit sometimes?
Absolutely.
You know, it's like
He smelled it when he walked in.
That was the smell.
you walk around and you go, I see dead relationships. You know,
I see their relationships.
you know.
Because you do it.
Yeah. I've been lowering my risks for years. Hi guys.
Hello.
Thank you for coming to me for clown therapy. You dirty cocoa bastard. No. Welcome to our picture dream guest. How are we? How is everyone? Don't worry about you two. How is everyone out there living their lives? We are rejoined. The Avengers have come back together.
Absolutely.
We're back.
And we have reassembled. We've got a wonderful episode we're going to record.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a guest that, I mean, it's a dream guest, really, because it's one that I'm a bit nervous about. Can I lay my cards on the table?
Yes, you
Yes,
can.
you may.
I'm just a bit. I think I'm a fish out of water. I think I'm a bit out of my box here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an elephant in a swimming pool.
Well, that's fine.
have I
Elephants
made
love
this?
water.
Okay,
Yeah, they
interesting.
do actually, don't they? The guest is both a relationship expert.
Yeah.
Not really nervous about that part. 6.
Oh, that's where it comes.
Sexologist.
Yes.
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 Kalle Norwald.
Yeah.
Seen him on Married at First Sight.
Yes.
Mhm.
Seen him on he pops up
Mhm.
every now and again, like a happy.
Yeah. Calm, knowledgeable, kind of cool person.
Mm-hmm.
Erection, I was going to say.
Oh,
a happy erection. He's there. He's not doing
That's-
any.
Yeah.
He's just
the most
he
childish
appears.
episode.
He's brilliant.
He is. And I also think like a guest of a caliber that deserves my velvet jacket of a pink magenta color.
For all listeners,
For all listeners.
she is wearing a pink jacket
And I have my clown suit
that
on.
looks a little bit like a vagina.
Oh, thank
Not
you.
No, I was talking about his shirt.
Well, actually,
No,
it's a bit yellowish though.
Did I ever tell you I did a gig once and there was a woman with a pink like top on, tight top,
Okay.
with a fur coat over, and she was. You can't make this up, right? She was from Regina in Canada,
no.
and
let me
as
guess
soon
the
as she
rest.
said it, you know where this is going,
Oh,
right? And it was like a fancy dress she'd
Yeah.
worn. I think the problem I have when I am now 52 years of age, but I am still, if anything kind of sexual, I'm still like,
Yeah.
Good to
and even on stage, I don't do sexy stuff. I mean, I am sexy
you
stuff.
Oh, that's sexy stuff.
Bring it back.
Yeah. How about you, Simon? Do you get uncomfortable watching like sex scenes
No, actually, I
developing
don't.
on TV?
I don't think I do that anymore. I used to, I
Yeah?
think, but not anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
I thought you were going to say that's why I was kicked out of Al Giganten.
Cool.
What
yeah.
about you, Summer?
I don't get uncomfortable, but I'm still human. So there is this aspect of me when people get very uncomfortable. Like very physiologically, like I can feel them being very uncomfortable, and I can sit with it. But I still think that there's different ways of handling it.
Mm.
Do you understand what I mean? Like, my mom is one of those people. Like, I don't know why, but she still gets very uncomfortable. So I get uncomfortable because she gets uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But when we're like watching with your parents or whatever, like that should be as comfortable as hell, uncomfortable as hell. But it doesn't happen because something is kind of internalized and mature enough in them. They have 5 kids. So,
Great.
getting too personal over here. Yeah, I would say I'm pretty good, but I am very sensitive to how people react.
I found recently that I struggle. Someone on the touring team, because we've been still out on tour.
Yeah.
Get your tickets at outpitcher.com for autumn.
What a
And Max, who's the tech guy, fell over on the ice in Hudiksvall
what?
and banged his head. And I kind of laughed.
How is this related to sex?
Uncomfortable. What do you...
okay.
Oh, my God. So we'll have to cut that out.
Yeah.
And then before I knew it...
My God,
He'd-
when is this guest coming in?
He banged his head.
So, yes. So the guest is here. The guest is here.
Shall we bring him on?
Let's bring it up.
Bring him on. I apologise to Max. He probably couldn't remember it after the bang in the head.
Oh, no.
But I will not forget it. Ladies and gentlemen, our picture's dream guest is Kalle Norwald.
Yay.
Me as a comedian, it's always like, have you always been funny? You know, do you ever get nervous? You
I
know.
always get the question, have you always been that sexy?
Oh, right. Okay, I'll take that one out.
Total lie, but
Absolutely.
just a dream.
Well, this is the Dream Guest podcast, so dreams are allowed.
I'm a little bit... I don't normally get too nervous. I am nervous on this one because I feel I'm a bit out of my world
zone.
here.
Okay.
You know?
What do you mean? You have 2 kids.
Yeah, I know. I've made
Maybe they
these,
weren't conceived by sex. I don't know.
Oh, you
No,
mean like
you don't know.
spiritual beings coming down, yeah?
But having Kalle Norwald, we've got to give him a round of applause.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just having... Look at me moving around.
Yeah,
I
you
feel like I'm watching...
Get away.
Do you know what I feel I'm watching? I feel like I'm watching a movie and my parents are there and the sex scenes appeared and maybe you've just come behind the sofa and gone, here, I'm here as well. And it helps me, but it still freaks me out.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if that's a normal... Because I would like to know, like, how do you... how did this happen? How did you become... a sex expert, the man of sex, the human
sex guru, relationship
yeah.
guru. As
yes,
well. Yeah.
Well, I've always had interest in topics that I found grown-ups in my surroundings as a child, like hushing around. They like say shh. Always when kids came into the room and they talked about something, and they were like shh. And I was like, I have quite big ears, but I also have a great hearing. So I always wanted to know what were they talking about. And I, to this day, I don't know if they talked about sex or relationships or they talked about Christmas gifts or something.
Yeah.
But I always been very intrigued about the,
like the taboo of it all.
Yeah, I think, I don't know.
And
if
the
taboo is
curiousness.
the curiousness about
From you,
things that
perhaps.
people don't talk about every day. And I think that's very intriguing.
Is that something that you think, like for me, like Swedes, sort of narrowing it straight down to the Swedes, like whenever you think of like, say, Swedish film, like for me, before I moved here, it was like you people were like running on the beach, throwing fruit at each other naked, and you know, if there's not
Films
you
have
people,
watched?
if there's not a pair of testicles within the first 7 minutes, it's not Nordic. But do you think like the Swedes are quite prude with what, you know, like you were saying, they were a bit hush there. Everything was a bit, and you still don't know whether it was the, you know, sex chat or you know what Kalle was getting for Christmas. You know, so do you look upon them as prude, like as what's the Swedish word for prude? Like kind of more.
Pryda.
Pruda.
I think that we in Sweden, we live on like old merits, because I think that like, back in the 70s, we got an international reputation about just being like very free in our sexuality. We walked around naked on the streets, cuddling with polar bears and things like that.
Yeah.
But
as one would do on a Monday evening.
Exactly. We all know what we're going to do after this. But I think that it's not that it's not that we in Sweden are typical like better or more used to talk about sex if you compare to different countries, but we have done things in culture that people expect us to do. So
and in your line of work, like being who you are, I mean, firstly, has it been weird with the celebrity part of it as well? Yeah. Because the big thing was Married at First Sight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't identify as a celebrity. I think I'm, how do you say that in English? But I think that people know my name because I have done some TV show. Oh, maybe that is a definition of celebrity. I don't know. But I think people know about my work. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you get recognized.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I don't see when people stare. But my son, who is soon to be 12, and my friends notice it, but I don't. I notice when people like take pictures and forgot to put the phone on silent.
Yes.
Then I hear it.
What? Like they don't ask you?
Yes. No, they don't ask me.
Who are these people?
Well, often young people who just want to and show their parents because the parents know me. But public persona, I don't think that's changed for my work perspective. I don't think so.
It's interesting because I feel the stares when people look at me. I get, I wouldn't say get aggressive, but I'm like, have I got something on my face or like, you know, but I mean, for you, I mean, people come up to me and say, I've got something funny for you. Have you ever spoken about Bastu or have, you know, it's, do they, you know, are they at a party going, can we have a little chat with you about...
Well, a typical thing to say is like, I have a friend who...
Oh, yeah. They do that with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the biggest thrill for you? Is it fixing someone? Is it bringing people together or...
Oh, good question.
Because for me, it's like sometimes you're doing a gig and you just look down and you just see someone really laughing and they're more smiling at you like this is good, you know. And it makes it worth it. You know?
Well, the image that came to me was when people like it could be in therapy, it could be during a lecture, it could be during a podcast. When people come to me and say that I have never looked on it that way, or I've never seen it in that perspective. When I can be a person that widens the perspective, I think that's very thrilling.
Oh, yes.
That's really cool.
I think about one show that I did. It was like an after show for Married at First Sight with after my first season. It was a couple called Maxine and Emil who got 4 episodes called The Marriage. So it was like a continuing show for them. And then we had an episode about sexuality. And then the day after it aired, it was a woman who came to me and she said, "Are you that sexologist?" And I said, "Well, I am one of them." The one that was on TV yesterday. And I said, "Yeah, I was on TV yesterday." And she said that I watched the show with my husband, and we looked at each other and said, "We have been married for 50 years and we have never talked about our sex life." Okay. And then they did, and they came to the conclusion that we are not happy with our sex life.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
So tonight we're going to have sex again and try to do it better. And I think that was one of the best grades that I have got.
Wow. But you're trying to, shall we say, fix, help, you know. Do you ever see a relationship and go, no, this can't. I can't. Yeah. I'm not the person they have. Yeah,
you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes people come to me and say, like, you are our last hope to make things good. Okay. And I would say, I will not do the job for you. You have to do the job by yourselves. Of course, I can be like a supporting person to help you and give you advice and things like that, but you have to put in the job.
Absolutely.
And then I think that maybe that's. How do you say that in English? Baksida?
Yeah, like the downside of it, or the shadow side of it.
Of like being an expert. You are only an expert if people agreeing with you.
Exactly.
That's the thing that I noticed. People are not shy to like say things about me and the advice that I give them. If they don't agree, then I am stupid. But if they do agree, then I'm an expert. Okay. So people want to have help, but they want to have the help that they think they need.
Right.
And then I come with another
angle
or analyzing it in a different perspective, and then they don't agreeing with me all the time.
Yeah.
And they don't have to. We live in a democracy, so it's,
of course,
do what you want.
Fine.
And I don't work with force.
Yeah.
No.
But do you smell the bullshit sometimes?
Absolutely.
You know, no, but it's like...
He smelled it when he walked in.
That was the smell.
Oh, no,
But it's been a couple of times that I've said to couples that I don't think that you should be together. You are doing so much harm on both yourself but also each other. So I don't think you should be a couple.
And what was their response to that? Was like, we'll show you, or
most days it's like, thank you. Finally, someone is saying this and bringing it to the table, and we can talk about how would it be if we're not a couple anymore. And then it's been like one or two that, gets pissed off and like, I'm going to prove you wrong. Which is wrong as well, isn't it? To prove you wrong. Well, maybe sometimes hatred and anger is a force that really
brings people
together and like, I will show you. And one time it went fabulous because they like work things out, and they could put me, see me as their enemy, and then like prove me wrong. And then they came back 2 or 3 months later and said, "We are now happy." Good for you, I said. I was wrong. Yeah, okay.
Nice.
And you've got to be.
I mean, whatever works, right?
Absolutely.
And I also think it depends on what you lay in the definition of make things work, or what is a fix. I think that separation or divorce could be a solution. Yeah. I don't see a divorce as like a failure or something like that. I think it's very important to see that that also is a solution.
Yes.
And that's the best for both parties and everybody else. Yeah.
I mean, as a kid with like divorced parents, actually both parents divorced several times, like it sometimes, quite often, you know, you can kind of feel it coming, and there's just this exhale when it happens.
Exactly.
Like, it was probably for everybody's mental health.
Yes. It would for me, it must be going back to that being a bit you're well known. Have you found that people, when they come into you as a relation expert, is it different? Because I went to a Catholic school in New Zealand, and we had to do confession, and you sit behind and you don't know who's there. But you still kind of hope that, oh my God, they're going to know who
is speaking.
It's father someone, you know.
Yeah.
When it's you, do you think they hold back, or do they trust you more?
I think that for those of my clients who come to me for psychotherapy, they always know who I am because they have Googled me, and that will do with everyone nowadays. So they know that I have done this for a long time, and they sometimes have watched me on Married at First Sight, or if I do some other show. And so they feel that they have some kind of relationship to me already. So my experience is that I can faster like go to the thing that I want help with. I don't have to go around it, so I can go to the bullseye immediately, more easier, because they have like a trust that already when they come to me.
That's cool.
We're talking of like trust. Is that like? Do you think that's number one in relationships? That's the number one thing, to have trust with each other.
I think that's trust or an alliance or something. I think it's important to have some kind of contact, of course. Otherwise, the relationship, it doesn't exist.
No.
Yeah.
But for me as a psychotherapist, trust and building an alliance with those who come to me for therapy, that's the most important. It doesn't matter which theories I have studied or which methods I use. It's the relationship between me and my clients that is the most important. So I have to, choose my words. I have to really think of, okay, so what does this client need, which could be totally different from the other one who just left my work. So I have to all the time, I have to like redefine, okay, so what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? It's not the same thing for everyone.
And are you a little bit like the kid in Sixth Sense, where you walk around and you go, I see dead relationships, you know?
I see dead relationships.
You know?
Well, Yeah, it's cool if I just say yeah.
For the sake of the pod, Kalle, for the sake of the pod.
I was quite interested. I've been married for 20-something years. Oh my God, we'll have to edit that bit out.
Okay.
And we met in a pub in England. Now with all these kind of apps, I'm going to sound like a bit of a boomer here, but like,
what do you mean?
You are
sound?
No, like actually, one of the weirdest dating things that I ever saw. I did a comedy gig in London for speed daters.
Mm-hmm.
So they would sit down, and I'd do the gig. And then when you did your 10 minutes, they moved around and they sat down, and then a new comedian came up. And I don't know if it was a success.
So they didn't have the chance to speak to each other?
No. It was almost like they were looking at each other going...
Who was arranging this gig?
So maybe the thought maybe was that, okay, so if we laugh at the same things, then maybe we could have a connection.
Definitely. Yeah, it was kind of like, because comedy is almost... It's like a perfect night out for some couples because you sit in the dark and you don't speak to each other.
Yeah.
You know, and
sounds lovely.
You know, so yeah, it was very strange. But now with like these, like there's, you know, so many apps, so many ways to. Do you see a difference when people meet on the net? Does it go quicker? Does it, you know? I don't know if I'm making sense with the question.
I think so. I think that maybe your question is app dating good or bad?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's good and bad.
Okay.
It's like every way to find a partner, if you want one, is good, except the bad ones. So you have to try. Sure. You have to try different things, and the apps, there are millions of different kinds of apps. So if you like people who dress up like clowns, there is an app for that. If you want people
no balloons though.
There are apps for everything, and I think that's quite interesting. Just it's a proof that relationships are very important for us human beings, that we need a connection, we need each other to develop as people. So I think that app dating is good for some and not as good for others. So I think it's important to like sit down and have a thinking session for yourself and like, how do I want to meet someone? Yeah. And now that almost everyone who is single is on dating apps, so you have to go where the people are.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you don't like it, try something else.
Have you noticed a pattern since you're seeing your patients and people of different ages and that I don't know, I know a few people who are younger than me, and there seems to be this kind of trend going on. People are going off the app.
Yes.
And would rather see someone. I don't know, espresso house.
We also see that in research, actually, that younger people are like turning the apps down and want to date analogy. How do you say that in English? They don't want to do it digitally. They want to do it otherwise, analogued.
Analogued.
And
analogical meetings.
And like meet people at, a pub in England or somewhere like that.
Do you ever meet these people and just go, for God's sake, just stay single for a while? Like,
absolutely.
You know, the rebound or just getting straight into another relationship, bouncing along.
Yeah, most of us are afraid of being the feeling of being lonely.
Yeah.
So it's quite logic that's okay. So now I'm single. Now I have to find another. But just because you're afraid of the feeling of being lonely. So of course, but as a psychotherapist, it's very important to like show that loneliness is not fun. We all know that. But if you don't like let the feeling of loneliness scare you, you could also see there's a purpose there why we are feeling lonely. Then you maybe can find a more truer relationship to yourself, and that's very scary, especially if you have been married for 20-30 years. Then it's quite scary.
It's a bit like when I gave up drinking years ago, and it was when you first stop drinking, you're doing it for other people because you're ruining their parties and you're making, and then it just hits you. You have to do it for yourself, or else. And I see that in some relationships. I see people just constantly bouncing into other, and just being broken by it as well.
Yeah.
It
tears you down.
Yeah. And what about like, you know, I'm a dad of 2 now, and it sounded so tired. I'm a dad of 2 now. The access to like the phones, going back to like the apps, and you know, like a kid, you know, can probably put it on a incognito tab or whatever, and look at stuff. You know.
You mean like dangerous dangerous in a way that maybe things like content that can be shocking, like nudity or stuff like that?
Do you think the internet is a dangerous thing? Big question.
Yeah, but I think the internet is both like a dangerous place, but it also a place full of information and like life-saving things.
Yeah.
I think it all depends. That golden balance that we people need. We need the internet now because the whole society is.
We live there.
Yeah, we live there. It's part of society now, so we have to have it internalized in our everyday life.
Yeah.
But I think it's important from the child's perspective that we as parents, we have to talk about the internet with our children.
Right.
Like when our son was little, we talked about there are grown-ups on the internet who doesn't want good things for children.
Yeah.
So if you come across something that scares you, come to us.
Yeah.
And we talked about it as soon as he, could orient himself on internet and things like that. So we said it quite early.
Yeah.
And also there are things that children should not see. And we don't talk about pornography per se, but also like violence and cruelty to animals and things like that.
Absolutely.
So we have to have it wider than just sexuality.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And there are studies that shows that sexuality and pornography isn't actually the most scary things that children see on the internet. I think it's just like 8% or something. The most scary things that children see on the internet are just animal cruelty. They really
I can
about
absolutely
animals.
relate to that. It's like when you think about what were those moments that really shocked you, it's not this thing of like when you click a wrong... I clicked the wrong button on an old PC, and then you get hundreds of these windows.
Yeah.
And then what did you do? Then you blamed.
No.
No, you didn't blame someone else.
She
didn't.
edits this podcast. She can take everything out.
And also, what most children actually do. As we grown-ups also do, if we see something that we don't like or that scares us, we turn it off.
Yeah.
Children and the youth today are much more brighter than we give them credit for.
It's time for Al's advice. Al Pitcher answers a question from the audience.
This one's from Simon, and he likes to dress up as a clown. Okay, no, that's
Oh my God.
Al and Kalle, I could really use some advice. I'm in a super difficult situation. It turns out that I want to have more sex than my partner. Like a lot more. See, even that's nothing. You're like, yep, this is normal.
Day.
But to me, we don't have that much right now, like 0 sex. But also, I totally don't want my partner to have sex with me if they don't really want to.
Makes
What
sense.
should we do? We love each other very much, but this situation has continued for years now. And no, we are not interested in having sex with other people. Thank you. I like that. Thank you. Tanya.
It's good to be clear.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
Well, this is one of the most common questions that people ask me at my workplace. So when it comes to desire, in a relationship of 2 people, there's a myth that they think that you should always have the same amount of desire all the time. And that's impossible because we are 2 different people. It would be like we're always hungry at the exact same time. We never are because we have to meet each other. Okay, so you are hungry at 5, I'm hungry at 7. Okay, so maybe we eat at 6. You have to compromise. And actually, it's the same thing about sexuality. If you don't have the exact same... I worked with this for 20 years. I'm still surprised that 2 people want to have sex at the same time. It's a riddle. I think it's important to know that you can have sex but not be like totally ecstatic at the beginning.
It's something
you might
that
get
grows.
into it.
Yeah, exactly. Most of us have something that's called a responsive desire. So we have to have something that stimulates our desire from the beginning. It could be like touching, it could be kissing, it could be sexting during the day, that you have to have something that like gives you the desire and the arousal in your bodies. So for that couple, I would say, if you both want to have something changing in your sexual part of life, then you have to do something.
Yeah.
Most people wait for the spontaneous desire that comes like this.
Just then, yeah.
I would say it not only, but mostly happens to the younger people during puberty.
Yeah, because there's so much hormones.
Exactly.
I mean, touching
and
that
sexuality
glass
is like the main thing in life, probably.
Yeah.
So for grown-ups, we have to do something.
Well, nice. I hope that helps,
Yeah.
Tanya. I mean, she was saying that she's not into what's your opinion on like open relationships? Do you think it leads to trouble most of the time? Or
if all the people who are in it want to do it, try it. You can always close it again and be a monogamous again. But it's very important that both people want it.
yes,
If you only do it for one, exactly, consent is everything. If you do it for only your partner's sake, then it probably will go downwards afterwards because you go over your boundaries too much. So you both have to want it, not exactly the same, but more or less.
but that conversation you have when you meet a new partner, that meeting of different sexual kind of ideas. You know, one of them says, I like to dress up as a clown and howl to the moon.
Like the clown.
It's you. Howl to the moon. And the other one's like, is that quite normal? Or do you think
which part?
The clown on the howl.
Coco the clown howling. No, is that a strange is that a strange kind of combination, do you think? Or does that work? Do the opposites kind of, help?
Well, it depends on how important it is for you to like live out the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
We all have some kind of maybe kinks or fetishes that we want to fantasize about, but not necessarily live out.
Yeah.
It's the same about sexual fantasies. Lots of research has shown that most fantasies that we have, not necessarily something that we want to do. I think the most common fantasies in Sweden are like having sex with several people at the same time on public spaces and play with BDSM, like bondage and dominance and submission. But most people don't want to try it. They only want to fantasize it, maybe talk about it during sex with a partner, but they don't want to tie me up.
The second question.
Alice getting triggered here.
I'm born in Britain, so I'm a bit like...
Yeah, you're very like, if we're prude, woo!
Hello, Alan Kalle. There's this saying that pisses me off.
Oh.
Okay.
Once a cheater, always a cheater. Is this really true? I'm asking this because I'm coming out of a relationship where I was cheated on. Usually it's me who cheats.
Sorry.
And honestly, I don't think this changes anything. There's always this period around 1 year after dating someone where I start feeling like sleeping with other people again. There's nothing to do with how much I like the person I'm dating. I really like the person and love the person I'm dating, but why do I cheat? And that's from Otto. Sounds like, he cheats, but he's been cheated on. Yeah, he's been cheated on.
If we trust research, which I do, no, it's not correct that if you cheat once, you will always cheat. It's not true.
Good news, Otto.
Yes.
Well, it depends on
Dirty
which
Otto.
kind of responsibility you take of your actions, because to cheat, that's a choice. We also have quite much power over our behaviors. So if you don't want to cheat, well, don't do it. Easy, short answer.
Yeah.
But I think that he said that it takes like a year, and then I always there's always a period around 1 year after dating someone where I start feeling like sleeping with other people again, and I think that's as a psychotherapist, once again, if people say that to me, I would say, okay, so are you maybe a bit afraid for like the closeness and the intimacy that a long-term relationship can give you? Because it's quite terrifying, because then it comes like the risk of being, lefted.
Rejected or
Rejected,
rejected and abandoned. Yeah,
that's not a word. But I think it's like the fear of being abandoned and being rejected, or also have to leave. That's quite to end a relationship. It's not easy.
No.
So I think that maybe people who have this habit of cheating after 1 year or so maybe have a fear of abandonment or the fear of being rejected or have to reject someone.
Very precise.
Nice.
Aww.
I hope that helps, Otto.
Yeah.
Change are possible. Hit it.
We hit it. This
So
is
the final segment.
I'm so excited about this. You have no idea.
She's been wanting to say these true or false statements to us the whole day.
Yeah.
I've been holding back, going, this is, and the word, this is gold. So no pressure.
So true or false?
Yeah, exactly. Tell them what to do.
So 5 statements. They're either true or false, or they can be something in between. The idea is to do it pretty quickly, but you're allowed to elaborate, like argument, like why did you choose that
Is it
one?
just the dream guest that is answering?
It's both. Al is going to answer first because you're the pro.
Okay.
He's not a pro.
I know the
He's an amateur.
Yeah. A person with a penis who masturbates. In doing so, they're actually lowering their chances of getting cancer.
What the hell? Cut that out.
Do you know what? I don't think that was the reaction. I am going to go true.
Okay.
Because
you do it.
I've been lowering my risks for years. No, I think it's probably a good thing to do.
Okay.
It is true.
It is true.
Oh God.
There are some new studies actually that shows it doesn't have to be masturbating. It could also be sex with a person or several people. That it's like regular orgasms or ejaculations that helps the prostate actually to keep producing different kinds of fluids, so it decreases the risks of cancer.
Wow.
Yep.
What
Great
the hell?
Number 2.
Shocking.
The more sexual partners one has, the higher one's emotional IQ is in a relationship.
So if they have more partners, their IQ is higher.
Yeah.
Emotional IQ.
Not IQ.
Emotional.
Oh, emotional.
EQ.
So if you're someone who's been like, in a bunch of like sexual relationship, you just like fucked around a lot.
Yeah.
And then you get into a relationship. Is your emotional IQ, basically reading the other person emotionally, is it higher?
Higher.
You think it's true?
Yeah, of course it is. You've had all these people.
Yeah, but what if you're an asshole and you just, sleep around and hurting people? And then you get in a relationship.
I didn't think I'd get information after my answer.
I'll leave that actually to our pro here. I'm just So what was your answer? You said true.
True.
You said it's true.
I think I would say it goes along the lines of, this isn't my first rodeo.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been around the block.
Okay, okay. I see.
I don't know the answer actually, but if I could,
we're asking for your advice.
Yeah, I think
knows?
that. Okay, so let's say practice makes perfect. So maybe if you try it again and again, it's like everything that we try several times, then we'll get better. So probably,
This is a great day for Al. Correct.
But it depends, and also if you've been an asshole for like several years and just slept around and been an asshole for people towards people, then of course maybe if you get in a relationship, then you look back on your history and then like, okay, I don't want to be that person.
Okay,
then it's good.
Okay.
But maybe listeners might argue this. Maybe
let them.
Let them. That's the new book by Mel. Okay, we're not going to plug in. Okay. Kids, so children of divorced parents or single parents are generally speaking unhappier in their future relationships and have a higher percentage of failing at marriage. So if you grew up as a
Christian.
Yeah.
Because they've seen it all crumble. So they're going to try and work it back up. They saw the mistakes that were made.
Okay.
And they felt terrible about that. So it is true.
that they're unhappier
Oh, no.
and they fail at marriages? It's false.
It's false.
According to Al.
Really having trouble understanding
It's like this double negation kind of questions. Like not.
Well, it is false. The choice of words of failed marriage. As I said earlier, I don't think that divorce is a failure.
Yeah.
And I think that children, if you look at research on children who had divorced parents, of course, it's not like they danced because it's so funny to have divorced parents.
No.
But they also see their parents taking their own emotions seriously.
Yes.
And also it's not that uncommon that divorced people, couples that like afterwards can talk about things more seriously and also more constructively. So children that had divorced parents are not like directly they have failed marriages. They're all grown.
There's hope for me.
Of course.
And friends out there. After being in a relationship for a while, so this is number 4. After being in a relationship for a while, people start to look more like each other physiologically. Is this true or false?
Well, people look like their dogs, don't they?
Oh yeah, well, I don't know what
don't
happens
they start
first.
looking like their dogs after a while?
Or do they get dogs that look like
themselves? That's another type of narcissism.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
True.
I don't know about the similarities physically, but I've read that, well, you get the same or more similar body language and like mimic.
Features.
Yeah. Like a little, how they smile and how they like express themselves in faces and things like that. So maybe that's
true.
Yeah.
You guys are on fire.
But do you think it's, what was the thing, like Freud and all that?
Yeah.
Like,
and all that.
And all that jazz.
Right, yeah. With Freud, the idea that you think you're in love with your mother or something, you know, like, firstly, do you agree with any of what he said, Freud?
Some of it, yeah.
Some of it, okay. This is going to be a very long way around, but do you think that the other person starts taking on a motherly role because they feel the rewards from, say, the man because of the Freud? Do you see where I'm going?
No.
Yeah, but continue.
No, that like the whole thing about Freud saying he fell in love with your mum and that. So when you meet a partner, you try and shape them into being your mum, and they sort of take on the role and they start looking like your mum.
Oh, honestly, handshake. Good job.
On what? Because that's not correct.
On what?
On what level is that great?
Been lifted up and then crumbled completely. I love that.
Okay, so that's false then.
I think that I don't know if it's like we want a partner who similar to our one or both of our parents, but I think that what we want is like being taken care of and to take care of. So that it's like that thing that maybe more than similarities on the face or body.
And you also agree with Freud on some matters.
Yes. Penises. All the penises I agree with.
Okay, last question. You guys are ready?
Yes.
Okay. Dead vagina syndrome is a relatively new syndrome that aims to describe the rising trend in women who enjoy true crime series to the point of obsession.
What?
Well, I was gone on dead vagina, to be honest.
So dead vagina syndrome.
Yeah, I know what I've got.
Do you know what it is?
It doesn't exist. It's a false thing that
it's a false
made up.
thing. So it's not women who enjoy true crime series that they become.
Now I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
False.
It's false?
Yeah.
Kalle.
Yes, it's false.
Okay. What is dead vagina syndrome?
Dead vagina syndrome is like something that you can describe if you are afraid of using sex toys too much. You don't get as sensitive of touching and other stimulations because you have used like a vibrator too much.
And right. You've overdone it, basically.
Right. Yeah, and that, which is not true. So use the vibrator so much you want.
One little thing you did there was you just coughed. You went when you said stimulation. That wasn't anything to do with.
No, I just have to pronounce because every time I talk English, it feels like my tongue is twice as large. So I have to pronunciate so much.
No, but I just wondered if it was like that. You never get those moments, do you? Like the rest of us when.
No.
You mean awkward? He never gets awkward.
No.
He's like the Superman of this
it
stuff.
was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I am extremely well. I'm sorry, Kalle, but I'm not that impressed with you because I knew you would know this stuff. But I still appreciate your answers. But Al, you nailed it.
5 out of 5.
Every single one of these.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Well, I came up with the most baffling Freud thing about parent and people.
Yeah.
Well, it was a side
I
track.
think
Yeah,
it's
that was-
osmosis.
Good. I need more colleagues, so
Oh,
on over.
yeah.
I
Speed dating? Anybody?
actually think
next time.
that Married at First Sight would be very different if I just popped up with advice.
Here's a joke for you.
Well, maybe.
This has been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, you've been
Same.
superb.
I could talk for another hour. But
Yeah.
maybe like if there's like, what are you doing now?
Oh, what do I do now?
We know all
Aren't
about
you
your
releasing
releases.
a book?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
I have written a book for teachers, so about sexual education,
Right.
and which will be released now during the spring. And I also, for the first time, writing towards young adults who are interested in sexology.
Yeah.
And then I am also soon believing to do a new show
All right.
Okay.
Scoop.
Scoop!
on SVT, Sveriges Television.
Thank you, Kalle.
Thank you.
Kalle.
Thank you.
No, you were fantastic.
Wonderful.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. You can call me Sex Guru.
Yeah.
Sex Guru.
Turns out you knew
Relationship.
everything.
Knew everything. Brilliant questions from you, Soma.
Thank
5
you.
true or falses. And there was a part of me where I could see Kalle looking over and going, this guy's after my job.
Yeah.
This guy he's an absolute whiplash.
Well, you've got a new clinic, the speed dating.
Speed dating comedy with
Kalle,
with erection problems.
Yeah.
I don't know.
you will have
Um,
so many clients.
No, I think being a comedian, you want to get laughter all the
Yeah.
time. And that's, if there's any young comedians listening, I think you should do that.
Mm.
But sometimes you sit down with someone
Aw.
and you have a chat and you get their vibes, as
Yeah.
the kids say.
Yeah.
And he was not perturbed. He was not stressed. He was not worried.
No.
Nothing. I think we actually said taboo early on.
Yeah.
And he
was
kind
like-
of dismissed the word taboo.
Yeah.
And for
Altogether.
me,
yeah.
before we began, I thought it was going to be a little bit taboo.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we had some revelations about clowns and how horny you are with balloons, but
And we had a really good vibe. We had
it
a
was
really
great.
good
He was a
Yeah.
great, and I
couple
know
of
he,
jokes here and there.
I know he was concerned about English, and but
No, he was
he was
great.
great.
Nailed it.
It was
Yeah.
absolutely superb. I really hope the listener loved it. If you did, please share this
Yeah.
episode. Tell everybody, and write in.
Mm.
We love getting those
Questions.
Those questions. Thank you to Tanya and Otto.
Yeah.
And there'd be a little part. I know we asked him, but there's a little part of me. Hopefully, maybe Tanya gets a little bit of advice from
Aw.
Yeah.
this podcast. That's pretty cool.
That's kind of
Great,
the big
yeah.
hope.
No, I'm just saying that we all learned something, I think, today. And that's the idea of this series of the podcast.
I didn't learn
isn't it?
anything, but
Didn't you?
I did learn that you love some clown shenanigans. That's what I learned.
I just remember one time and I just heard, and you're like, oh, I gotta go. So now we know.
Yeah.
I think we
Just
need to change some
juggling.
things up.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget alpitcher.com for the tour. Come along. Loving doing the show.
Yeah.
Loving doing these podcasts with you guys.
I love it.
Thank you.
The world's a bit weird, right?
It is.
And
Oh,
then
for
you
sure.
get these little sit-down chats,
Mm-hmm.
and I was nervous before, and then you get through them, and you're like, that was actually fucking great, that. So thank you both, and thank you to Kalle. Thank you to listening. Thank you to viewing. Share, subscribe, prescribe.
all of that.
Subscribe.
Thank you, Al, for doing these.
Get the
Thank
vibe.
you. Get the vibe.
This is a loving, man.
Yeah.
This is an orgy of happiness.
Woo!
Not now, Coco. Coco the clown.
Apparently, that's my name.
Take care, people. Look after each other and share the love. Yes.
Cheers.
Get your tickets to Al's new tour at alpitcher.com. This podcast was produced by Soulside Studios in Stockholm.